Marcus Wilson's holiday display of love and unity sparked a war with HOA President Linda Martin, who tore it down in secret. But when Marcus became her new boss, the conflict took an unexpected turn. What happened next will shock you. Let's start from the beginning. In the idyllic neighborhood of West Haven, where snow-dusted roofs and glowing lights adorned every house, the holiday spirit was palpable. Each lawn sparkled with carefully curated decorations, glittering reindeer, inflatable Santas, and perfectly coordinated twinkling lights. But one house stood apart. The Wilsons, the only black family on the street, had always kept their holiday celebrations simple, content with a modest wreath and a few lights. This year, however, Marcus Wilson chose to defy tradition. Under the frosty December sky, Marcus transformed his front yard into a vivid tapestry of culture and hope. Strings of multicolored lights outlined the home's edges, and the centerpiece featured glowing letters spelling peace and love, their warm hues cutting through the cold night. The decorations honored both Christmas and Kwanzaa. Kinara candles stood proudly beside the Christmas tree, and doves of peace adorned the display. It wasn't just a holiday decoration. It was a declaration of unity in a neighborhood where differences often went unspoken. Across the street, Linda Martin, the sharp-eyed, no-nonsense president of the HOA, stood in her living room window. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, and her ever-present clipboard rested in her manicured hands. Watching Marcus work, her lips thinned into a disapproving line. To Linda, the display wasn't festive. It was disruptive. It violated the HOA's unwritten code, one steeped in standards selectively applied. Beneath her veneer of decorum, an unacknowledged prejudice fueled her resolve. Late one frigid night, armed with bolt cutters and her clipboard, Linda led a small group of HOA members onto the Wilsons' lawn. Under the cover of darkness, they dismantled the display, leaving shattered lights and toppled decorations in their wake. By morning, the vibrant symbols of unity and hope lay in ruins. When Marcus awoke, the yard was barren, its brightness stolen. His daughter, Tasha, a wide-eyed 11-year-old with tears streaming down her cheeks, stood by the window, staring at the destruction. "Why do they hate us, Dad?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Marcus, his jaw clenched, wrapped his arms around her, vowing silently that this injustice would not go unanswered. The next morning, the usually tranquil community center buzzed with hushed whispers and nervous glances as Marcus Wilson walked through its double doors. Dressed sharply in a navy blazer and carrying pieces of his shattered holiday display, Marcus projected a calm and composed demeanor. However, the tight grip on the broken frame and the intensity in his dark brown eyes hinted at the anger simmering beneath his exterior. The meeting room, brightly lit and sterile, was filled with neighbors seated in metal folding chairs arranged in rows. At the front, Linda Martin presided over the meeting with her usual authoritative air, her blonde hair impeccably styled and her clipboard resting in her lap. She wore a gray blazer over a white blouse, exuding an aura of professionalism, though the patronizing smile she directed at Marcus betrayed her dismissive attitude. "Mr. Wilson," Linda began with a clipped tone, "your display violated the community guidelines. You should have consulted us first." Her blue eyes sparkled with a mixture of false politeness and veiled annoyance as she addressed him. Marcus took a deep breath, steadying himself. "I've read those guidelines cover to cover," he said, his voice even but firm. "There is nothing in them that prohibits holiday displays. What you did was trespassing and vandalism." His words hung in the air like a challenge, his gaze unwavering. Tension rippled through the room as some neighbors murmured in agreement, while others echoed Linda's sentiments. Phrases like preserving the neighborhood's character and upholding standards were thrown around, thinly veiling deeper prejudices. Marcus stood tall, refusing to be intimidated, but he knew the battle would require more than words. That evening, Marcus contacted a lawyer, his resolve hardened. He began meticulously documenting every instance of selective enforcement by the HOA, determined to expose the inequities they wielded so casually. Meanwhile, his 11-year-old daughter, Tasha, posted a video of their destroyed decorations on social media. The raw footage of their shattered display and Tasha's tearful voice recounting the incident quickly went viral. Outrage spread like wildfire. Comments flooded in from allies, offering support, and trolls defending the HOA's actions. Local news outlets picked up the story, and soon, West Haven was thrust into the national spotlight as a flashpoint for discussions on race, community standards, and justice. Marcus Wilson strode confidently into the sleek modern offices of West Haven Financial on his first day as vice president. The expansive space gleamed with polished glass walls, minimalist furniture, and the buzz of corporate efficiency. Dressed impeccably in a tailored gray suit with a crisp white shirt and a navy tie, Marcus carried himself with quiet authority, his deep brown eyes scanning the room as the company's senior leadership team gathered for introductions. Among them was Linda Martin, who sat rigidly at the long conference table. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, and she wore a burgundy blouse paired with a black pencil skirt. As Marcus was introduced, Linda's piercing blue eyes widened in shock. The clipboard she held clattered softly against the table as her face turned pale. "Mr. Wilson," she stammered, struggling to mask her disbelief. "I didn't realize you'd joined us." Marcus, maintaining his composure, offered a polite smile and firm handshake. "Looking forward to working with you, Linda," he said evenly. Over the following weeks, Linda found herself navigating unfamiliar territory, answering directly to Marcus. His leadership style was firm but fair, yet Linda felt the weight of every critique and expectation he set. Tasks she once delegated casually were now scrutinized, and deadlines she had previously imposed on others were now hers to meet. Her discomfort grew, manifesting in terse conversations and increasingly strained interactions. Despite her unease, Marcus treated her no differently than his other subordinates, offering her every opportunity to succeed. Meanwhile, Marcus continued his fight against the HOA's discriminatory practices. At another HOA meeting, held in a fluorescent-lit community center, Marcus stood at the podium, his voice calm yet commanding as he presented a meticulously organized case. Armed with legal precedents, evidence of selective enforcement, and testimonies from other neighbors, he laid bare the biases embedded in the HOA's actions. Linda sat quietly, her usual air of authority visibly deflated. As national scrutiny and potential legal action loomed, other board members began distancing themselves from her. Ultimately, under immense pressure, the HOA voted to restore the Wilsons' display and issue a formal apology. Marcus left the meeting with quiet satisfaction, his principled stand a victory for fairness and accountability. As tensions in the community simmered, Linda faced mounting pressure at work. Her peers, aware of her publicized actions, began avoiding her. Meanwhile, Marcus extended an olive branch. "People make mistakes, Linda. What matters is whether you're willing to learn and change." Linda scoffed at first, but as the weeks passed, she saw her professional and personal circles shrink. Eventually, she approached Marcus, humbled and contrite. I didn't realize how much my actions hurt your family." I'm sorry. Marcus nodded, accepting her apology, but making it clear that trust would take time to rebuild. Inspired by the Wilsons' resilience, other families in West Haven began hosting diverse cultural celebrations. The once exclusive neighborhood evolved into a vibrant, inclusive community. In the end, Marcus's holiday display became a symbol of unity and perseverance. Tasha stood proudly beside her father as they lit the display the following year, with neighbors of all backgrounds joining in. Linda watched from a distance, no longer president of the HOA, but finally learning what leadership truly meant.